Today on Go Island, we are spending time with the Nanaimo-Ladysmith Retired Teachers Association as we celebrate our rich heritage of public education.
Today on Go Island, the strategy of chess applied to real life, the art of judo, and higher learning as a groundskeeper for the Vancouver Canadians. That and more today on Go.
That is an abacus, and that's what you used to use to do your math homework or your math lessons in the classroom. We're here at the Nanaimo Museum today, spending some time with the Nanaimo-Ladysmith Retired Teachers Association. They have an exhibit here that looks back at the rich history of our public education system. In this case here, I see an old-fashioned ink pen. You know, you can dip the ponytails into the inkwell behind you. And back here, there's a strap. I don't like to see that, and thankfully we don't see that in our school system anymore. Nanaimo-Ladysmith is the longest continually running public education system in British Columbia, and we're going to look into that history today on Go Island. Seeing 5 moves ahead is a part of the strategy in the game of chess, and there are many skills that you can learn from this game that can then be applied to real life. Annette Lucas will introduce us to a man now who is doing just that. You are watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4, and we're here at the Nanaimo Museum celebrating the history of public education in Nanaimo-Ladysmith. It is the longest continual running school district, public school district, in the western side of Canada, in the province. Derek Cowling is with the Nanaimo-Ladysmith Retired Teachers Association. Why now? Why is this exhibit taking place now?
Well, it is an opportunity for us to celebrate education in Nanaimo. We have a very vibrant education system here and a long history, as you mentioned. We also wanted to bring together the resources of the community archives, the museum, which has a wonderful display, classroom display here, and also the Skipsey Heritage Collection, which is not well known, but is has a unique collection of textbooks in particular that our retired teacher group has put together at NDSS. And so we wanted to tell the story of public education. Okay. It's been very, very important in Nanaimo and across the province. We feel that you know, you can look at artifacts, you can look at an old bell, you can look at an old picture, but it's really the stories behind those, the people behind those, the teachers, the students that have experienced great things in our schools for many, many years.
We're going to meet Les Skipsey later on this edition of Go Island, and many of those stories are being told behind us right now. This is a gathering of people who taught in our education system and helped make it what it is today.
Well, that's right. I just talked to a couple of lovely ladies who taught with my mother, who taught in this district. She went back to school in her 50s and got her teaching certificate and returned to teach at Chase River for a number of years. And it's just great to share some of those stories and about the old schools and the good times that they had together.
Excellent. We're going to talk more about that as we progress on this edition of Go Island. And one of the things I've realized, having a quick look at the exhibit that is here at the museum in Nanaimo until the end of March, is how quickly things change. I mean, it was only 50 years ago, 60 years ago that we were using abacuses in classrooms instead of calculators and other digital devices to help us with our education. And speaking of education, it doesn't always have to be about books and mathematics. It can be physical. We're throwing things over now to Rayanne LaPlante. There are some students in Nanaimo who are applying their skills to learning judo and taking it to a pretty serious level of competition. The Nanaimo Judo Club is hosting an island-wide competition on March the 23rd at Georgia Avenue School. Competition runs from about 10:30 going until about 3 in the afternoon. You're welcome to drop by and experience judo firsthand. We'll be back with more after a short break right here on Go Island.
Still ahead today on Go Island, Part 2 in the Shell Energy Classroom Diet and working as a groundskeeper for the Vancouver Canadians. That and more still ahead today on Go.
You You are watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. We're here at the Nanaimo Museum celebrating the rich history of Nanaimo's public education system. March is Education Month, and Les Gipsy is very involved, more integral than I think I'm aware of at this point, to something called the Skipsey Heritage Collection. What is that?
Well, the name was given to it because if we have to move from our current location, it's one way of identifying our over 2,000 computer entries, books, and memorabilia that we have.
Okay, so it's a collection of things that were used here in Nanaimo in the
Basically, the goal was to have things used in the Mid-Island area.
Okay.
Yeah? And education, don't forget, has been continuous in Nanaimo. It's the only place that we know of in the province where it's ever been continuous. It started with the Hudson's Bay Company, and then eventually provincial government took over, etc.
Okay. Now this collection is usually housed in a room at Nanaimo District Secondary School in perpetuity, and it's sort of been moved here to the museum, is that right?
Well, we have only some of our things here.
Okay.
We didn't bring the books. They're too big to bring.
Yeah.
But there's about 2,000 of those.
Why is it important to look back on the history of public education?
Well, our slogan came from Pierre Burton. And the slogan is giving the future a past. And we thought that this would be very useful for people going into education to come and see, well, what was it like? What facilities did we have? What books, etc.
Are you still involved with the education system today? And what I'm doing is sort of framing up a question, is it possible to recap or look at how education has changed in the last 20 years?
It's changed so much. It's hard to define your answer because at one time we had what were called superior schools. There was a Cedar Superior School, one in Harewood. These were where schools went on to what later became senior matric. Now, we have grades 1 to 12 in the public school system, and recently they added kindergarten, and now, but we don't have beyond grade 12.
Right. Some provinces have grade 13.
That's right.
Okay.
Great.
How long did you teach?
Oh, golly, 33 years.
What did you like about it?
People.
People.
Yeah.
Teachers are meant to inspire. Is that one of...
You don't go into teaching if you don't like kids. Or you shouldn't.
Okay, excellent. We're going to have a closer look, or another look at the exhibit here that runs at the museum until the end of March. And speaking of classrooms, we're going to throw things over now to our second installment of the Shell Energy Diet Series, taking place in classrooms right now. You are watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4, and we're here at the Nanaimo Museum celebrating the heritage of public education in Nanaimo-Ladysmith. It is Education Month for the month of March, and the exhibit that is on now runs until March the 30th, or is it 31 days in March?
31 days.
31 days in March. This is Carol. She's president of the Nanaimo-Ladysmith Retired Teachers Association.
Correct.
You've been going 25 years, and I've never had the opportunity to meet you guys yet.
Yes, we're sort of a, I don't want to say subliminal group, but we're a group that's in the background. But we have been in place for 25 years. It was started by a group of retired teachers who felt there was a need to have some continuing collegiality. They missed it when they retired. So they started, and we meet every 2 months and have lunch. We also provide awards and bursaries to students in the Nanaimo-Ladysmith area.
Fantastic.
And we do volunteer work with the Nanaimo-Ladysmith Schools Foundation.
One of the things I was interested in hearing, we met Les Gipsy earlier on this edition of Go, and he gave a little speech here, and Derek as well, and he was saying that a classroom would have 35 kids. That's more than we have today, yet we're complaining about class sizes. It sort of shows a sign of the times, I guess.
It shows a sign of the times, but I think the difference is that education in days gone by where you did have 35 teachers, and I taught in China and had 48 students, 35 students. I had 48 students in my smallest class, is that you don't have any personal connection with the students. It's all a lot of rote learning. Everybody has to learn at the same pace. Now we're looking more at individualized learning, which fits in with the technology and the learning styles and the awareness of different learning styles. So
I get the sense that as a retired association of retired teachers, you're still very active and current in the ways of teaching and what's happening in the education system today.
We try very hard to be aware because we want to advocate. Even though we are no longer active teachers, we like to advocate for the students and teachers in this area. And we feel that we do that by having our awards and by volunteering with different events and things such as Stock the Lockers with the Schools Foundation. So,
well, thank you.
Yeah, you're very
Thank you.
welcome. And thank you for having us here today and coming. We really appreciate it.
Our
and
pleasure.
We're very, very proud of it.
Our pleasure. The exhibit here, the Retrospective, runs through until the end of March, which is Education Month in British Columbia. And as Derek alluded to earlier, it's not about the pictures, it's not about the letters, it's about the stories behind all of the artifacts and memorabilia that you'll find here at the Nanaimo Museum. We're going to throw things over now to Melanie Panetta. She's trying her hand as a groundskeeper with the Vancouver Canadians. That brings us to the end of this edition of Go Island. The exhibition here, the reflection back, retrospective of the public education system's history here in District 68 is small at the Nanaimo Museum, but nonetheless very important. It's great insight into the stories that make up life today in Nanaimo and Ladysmith and how education plays a crucial role in the fabric of our culture. That does bring us to the end of this edition of Go Island. The exhibit here runs at the museum until the end of March, which is Education Month in British Columbia. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.